This aircraft, there are 6 emergency exits.
Hello, everybody. This is Ron, your captain speaking. We are currently 30,000 feet in the air, and we haven't even left the airport. We just lit the joint. Just kidding, a little pilot humor there. We like to have fun. Our destination today is Casablanca, Morocco. So everyone, sit back, fasten your seatbelts, and prepare for takeoff. We will be arriving in 6 hours.
7-footers gang, what is going on? It's Jarod and Jenna here, back for another week to chat about the association that is just, it never lets us down news-wise, Jarod.
I mean, Jenna, they wilding out there in the streets. Like, COVID health and safety protocols out of control.
Out of control. Players are entering the NBA's health and safety protocols just by the minute. At this point, we're getting notifications flying through from all your favorite sources out there, Shams, Woj, all of them. And it's getting a little chaotic because we're not only seeing it within the NBA, we're seeing it within the NFL, the NHL, and it's just spreading throughout these leagues almost like wildfire. We just saw in the NFL that there was 37 cases reported on Monday. So it's getting a little scary with this Omicron. Am I saying it right?
Yeah, Omicron variant.
Omicron, Delta. Reminds me of my sorority days out there. But this is much more serious. For real, though, that Omicron variant, it's apparently spreading much quicker than, was it the Delta they said? I don't know. No scientist.
Yes. That is what the World Health Organization said, that it is spreading faster than any of the other variants.
Right.
And look, as we know, sports is... this sort of like leads the way, right? Remember last March 2020 when everything shut down in Oklahoma City? I feel like we're feeling that again. Like, we're getting back to that point right now, and it's dangerous right now. I think once the vaccines came out, everybody's feeling good. Like, all right, we're good, no problems. And it's like, not so much, folks, not so much. This Omicron variant. And to be fair, we don't know if that is the reason why things are happening, but we do know it's spreading. And the players in the NBA, I mean, in our group chat with the guys, Murph said they're out and about. And, you guys all out there knows what out and about means. I mean, these guys are interacting with all different kinds of people. Who knows what the vaccination status is of the people they're interacting with. And the testing's going to have to change. They're going to have to really fix this, because we're going to have a situation where the league's going to have to shut down. And I know Adam Silver does not want that.
Oh, right. Absolutely not. I mean, hopefully they feel much more prepared. God forbid something happens this time around. But I thought it was interesting. You pointed this out in the show run so the outbreak really started within the NBA with the Bulls and the Hornets. That's where we started hearing things pick up with players. Now it's spread to Brooklyn. We'll get to that. But 2 weeks ago, there was a stat that you posted and pointed out here that only one player was in protocols. And then in a few short days, it spiked up to 20 players after this Bulls and Hornets outbreak. So it's definitely scary. Wear your mask, guys. Get vaccinated. Get your boosters. Do your thing out there to stay safe and not spread this thing. And, we got to be patient. And I did read in that article, that ESPN article, by Baxter Holmes, that the league, is expecting the cases to rise, especially during the winter months, because they said that, according to, health professionals, they said that the winter months were the most challenging. So, for people who think that we might be out of this or on our way out, it doesn't seem so at this point.
We're definitely not. And the World Health Organization was very clear about this. It isn't, okay, get vaccinated and you're cool. No. Vaccinations. Booster when available, still wear your masks, still practice social distancing, still make sure you're practicing proper hygiene in terms of washing your hands. It is all of these things that you need to do to continue to mitigate the spread of it, because we're not going to stop it. That's very clear. But we want to mitigate it, right? We want to slow it down, because right now it's giving those vibes of how it was in March 2020, where it's like, yo, what's happening? Like, the numbers of people testing positive in all these sports leagues are super high. And again, all these leagues tout at least 90% and higher of vaccination rates, right? So we're learning that there are situations going on. Again, we know that was always the case. The vaccine doesn't prevent you from getting it. It prevents you from getting super sick, and it mitigates the risk of you getting very sick and dying, right? And so the good thing is, at least I know today, I was on the press call with Steve Nash prior to this game. All the Nets
Mhm.
players are asymptomatic right now, so that's good. And again, that's
Okay.
because of vaccination. Like, if you're not vaccinated, the likelihood of you being asymptomatic goes down 6 times.
Right. This again, it's just super unfortunate that we're starting to see a wave of this. And it's scary because you think about what the world went through when all of this had happened and what it did. And I'm speaking from a sports standpoint, but what it did to these leagues and from a financial standpoint, to a health standpoint, to all of the above when it comes to transforming a business and organization like this pandemic has done to so many things outside of sport. So, again, we'll keep you guys posted as protocols either increase or change or anything along those lines. But let's get into the teams that are shutting down facilities because this is affecting their roster so much. I mean, you mentioned you were on the press call for the Nets, so let's stay there for a second. They have 7 players in protocol as of December 14th, the night that we're recording this. They have a game tonight. What do you know? Because are they in jeopardy of canceling this game or postponing this game, I should say, rather?
So prior to the night we're recording this, they're at home against the Toronto Raptors. Paul Millsap, James Johnson, DeAndre Bembry, right? Those guys were put into the health and safety protocol. And then, just as the players were warming up on the court tonight to about to play, James Harden and Bruce Brown were put into health and safety protocols, right? So this is where we're at right now. And excuse me, Javon Carter as well. It's just it's crazy, right? Just the amount of guys, and LaMarcus Aldridge, excuse me, who, by the way, LaMarcus Aldridge, who, as we know, has a heart condition. So he is already on the highly, a list where you have to be mindful of, if he catches it, what it could do to him because of that heart ailment. We do know he was cleared all the tests in terms of being able to play with the heart ailment. But now with COVID, it is something to monitor, and they're, of course, monitoring that. Steve Nash did say that, again, all players are asymptomatic as of right now. So that's the good news. They're going to have to return, as you know, based on the COVID health and safety protocols, a series of negative tests before they're eligible to come back to play. So that's limiting the Nets in terms of the practice facility, right? So, and the other thing is, we know about the players. They're not telling us who from the staff side is contracting or testing positive, right? So remember, in Indiana, they had their own situation. Rick Carlisle, they had to make that public because he's the head coach. We have no idea with these teams in the support staff level who of those people are testing positive. So the NBA's got, not just the NBA, the NFL, NHL, these leagues have some problems on their hands right now.
They really do, and leading to more problems. Another team, the Bulls, they canceled or they postponed their next 2 games because of a coronavirus outbreak there. So, I mean, with all these postponements too, I mean, we're pushing schedules, we're pushing, essentially things longer and longer. And what do we always talk about since the schedule got erupted because of this pandemic? Is that, the sense of normalcy, or the sense of, normalcy for these players to return where they're not in fear of injury per se.
Yeah. And that's the thing, Jenna, you said about normalcy. The return of the normal calendar has lulled a lot of people into thinking, the normal sports calendar, into thinking everything's all good and we're fine now. We are not. We are still in the throes of a pandemic. We are seeing it, right? Omicron is now in more than 77 countries around the world. WHO head said today it's likely in every country, even though it hasn't been reported yet. Okay, like the world we live in now moving forward is a COVID world. There is no more, all right, once COVID is over. No, COVID is not going to be over, right? It's going to be like everything else. And again, the longer the scientists and the medical professionals and the epidemiologists have to study it, it will get to a point where they understand it, know what's happening, and we're able to live with it in a different way. But now, this is where we're at. And in sports, again, because of the nature of what happens, these people are on planes constantly. They're out in the public constantly doing a whole host of things. They're interacting with lots of different people. It's a lot. And I wouldn't be surprised, Jenna, if on the flip side, as it relates to the fan, we start seeing reductions in arena sizes again with how many people can be there, vaccinated or not, like in every, like here in New York. That's a rule for gathering. I have a feeling we're going to start seeing those restrictions come back into play.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, they have an indoor mask mandate in place until January 15th, I believe. was the memo that I saw. But staying in New York, the Knicks also have multiple players in COVID protocol. They play tonight. I so rudely skipped celebrating Steph Curry at the beginning of the show list. So, you bad on your girl here, but
It's all right.
it segues perfectly because the man is about to make history tonight inside the Garden. What better place to do it other than your home court, Staples Center? I mean, it couldn't have been a better story for Steph Curry to pass Ray Allen and make 3-point supremacy reign all over us, because why not? I mean, another accolade for Steph Curry. Let's do it. And I know that everybody inside the Garden tonight, whether you're a Knicks fan or not, is going to be celebrating this guy, because there's just something about Steph Curry. You got to love the guy. But, I mean, he's at 29.72 three-pointers right now. And he's slated. He needs, what, two more to pass? Two more to
will
pass,
set the record. Yep.
Ray Allen. So, I mean, kudos to him. Early kudos to him. What an accolade there. I mean, that's something, people dream and imagine about. But,
I mean, he's gonna probably set the record within the first 2 minutes of the game, right? Like I imagine every shot he takes, the first 3 shots are going to be all threes, right? Like he's going to probably take 23s tonight. Who knows? But that record's going to be broken very, very early tonight. And look, let's celebrate Steph Curry. A few episodes ago, I said, Jenna, he could set the mark out somewhere beyond 4,000. Jenna, I think 5,000 made threes are in play. Like if he continues on the pace he is and just averages what he normally averages for a season for the next, I want to say 7 seasons. 5,000 threes are well within the realm of possibility. Now that assumes health and all sorts of other things. But, and people are saying he sets it there, that record will never be broken. Look, records are designed and made to be broken. Now, it may not be broken by anyone currently in the NBA right now, but who knows, right? The person to break that record is someone who might not even be born yet, right? Or who's 1 or 2 years old walking around looking at the dude being like, I could be me someday, right? So it's just something. Kudos. Let's celebrate Curry. Of course, Knicks fans, they know that the record is inevitable. I'm sure that what they would want is, we don't care if he gets the record as long as we get that win, right? So let's see what happens tonight in the Garden. But second night of a back-to-back for the Warriors. The Warriors, by the way, who had a little bit of plane trouble, and they didn't leave Indiana until this morning to get to New York.
Stop! I didn't see this.
Yeah. A little mechanical trouble on the plane, and they didn't leave until this morning. Left around 10:30. It's all good. Everybody's fine. Ray Allen is in the house tonight, and so I'm sure there'll be a nice moment between him and Steph. Where they dap each other up or something or what have you. Reggie Miller, of course, also in the house, calling this game on TNT. It's always nice to be around when history is being made. So kudos to Steph Curry, the all-time king.
Can't wait to see all the videos online and tear up. You know how I get. It was funny too. It was funny. I saw Steve Kerr. He said to press today, I think it was, he was like, "Yeah, I think I'm going to sit Steph tonight."
Oh yeah, last night after the game, he was joking like, "Yeah, I'm going to rest him tonight." No, I mean, look, the Gardens, everyone, it's the Mecca. It's all that. Like, and again, kudos. It's a remarkable accomplishment. Again, I mean, we didn't think that those amount of threes in this short of time was possible, right? But he has revolutionized the way the game is played. And that should be commended.
It really should. And I highly recommend taking a look at all of the interviews that we're seeing be published this week with Steph Curry leading up to this, all the packages they put out on the different shows and whatnot. Because to see a superstar of his caliber sit down for interviews anymore is a treat. It really is. If you think about it, we don't see, these guys, the top guys doing a lot of interviews, sit downs. When's the last time you saw LeBron really do like an actual sit down? Just had to bring it up. But take a look at those guys. He explains a lot of cool stuff about how he, monitors his own game, and the bar that he sets for himself with shooting is just remarkable in its own. Things that other guys, not even close to Steph Curry, wouldn't go out on the court and do in practice, although they're also professionals. So yeah, take a look at that. It is really good. Keep you entertained. But first, watch 7-footers. Let's switch gears here because we got to talk about a team that is suffering, to say the least, the New Orleans Pelicans. I mean, there's not really, where do you even start here with the Pelicans? Because they have their franchise face in Zion Williamson. They built everything around him after drafting him number 1, but he suffered a setback in his rehab for that surgically repaired broken foot from over the summer. And this is not looking good because initially they said that we could have seen him possibly for the season opener, and then the tune switched from there and it has just gotten worse. So, I don't want to point this out, but it's out there. A lot of talk about his weight. A lot of reports about the diet. And, you don't really know what's true, right? But I'd love to know your thoughts on this specific topic with him, just with this setback before we get into the bigger picture for the Pelicans.
First off, we all think it's strange that we did not know about this injury until the start of training camp, right? The injury happened sometime over the summer, and no enterprising person, Shams, nobody with, no beat reporter for the Pelicans could sniff this out in time for before training camp. That's number one. Number two, everywhere I look, they keep saying about it, it's a foot injury, it's a foot injury, it's a foot injury. It is the 5th metatarsal bone on his foot. That's a Jones fracture. Like, that's the injury that Kevin Durant had in Oklahoma City, right? Like, and the fact that we're like, oh, yeah, he's just going to be fine, get back to playing, no problem. I'm like, I don't know, man. I do not know. Look, of course, is the issue about the weight and all that. And again, when you are that heavy, you're not able to put any weight on the foot and do what you need to do to keep it. There's a lot going on here right now. And the Pelicans handled it poorly. I don't know what Zion's whole situation is in terms of his off-season routine and his regimen to keep himself in peak physical shape. That clearly needs some work as well. We don't want this to turn into a situation where he becomes one of the great what ifs in NBA history, right? Like, but I mean, look, this is what we're seeing right now with the setback, right? Because again, it's clearly not healing. And again, I want to be clear about something. I'm not saying it's a Jones fracture, but everything that they are saying about it makes it sound like it is a Jones fracture. And one of the challenges with that injury is the lack of blood flow to that part of the body makes it hard. Anybody who knows anything about injuries and healing, an area that has poor blood flow and circulation is more difficult to heal. And that's a part of the foot. Again, poor blood flow. So this is something to be concerned about for sure if you're New Orleans. And then, of course, there is the looming, rookie extension for him when he's ready, right? And will he sign in New Orleans? What's going to happen there? This and that. It's just all bad for New Orleans right now. And on top of that, they're playing poor basketball, right? So it's just it's bad in every possible scenario.
They're 8-21 right now. Right. Just to put it
out
there.
Down for the lottery. Shout out to Paolo Banchero and Chet Holmgren, because that's who they're going after in the lottery.
Yeah. And just one more thing, not to harp on the weight, but I thought this was very interesting. ESPN's Tim McMahon was on the Low podcast, and he said that this is his report, but he said, Zion coming back to training camp, he was 70 pounds higher than he originally was. And again, surgery factors into that. You're not being as active. Your rehab switches up. I get it. But more people are monitoring you during that time, aren't they? So how do you let this kind of slip through the cracks? I mean, you don't just wake up one day and you're, 70 pounds high, like bigger.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Well,
it's like,
no,
who's
I'm with
seeing
you.
this? Like, is there someone in New Orleans?
That's the thing. And that's what we talked about in the past, Jenna. The question we have to ask ourselves is Zion, who is in his camp and him in charge of his diet and his routine and everything? And is he taking that part seriously? I don't know, because we don't know anything about that. Is someone on the Pelicans telling him what he needs to be doing? And is he listening to them? I don't know, right? Like, we don't know answers to any of these questions. All we're doing and getting is seeing pictures every other day of, whoa, he looks huge. Oh no, he looks fine. Like, nobody knows anything, right? And until we're able to actually get David Griffin, Pelicans executive vice president, and Zion Williamson on record to sit down and someone asks them these questions and they actually answer them, we'll never know.
We will not know, but something needs to happen in New Orleans there. And, on a real note about it, lastly, that's on the human aspect side of it, that's hard. I can't imagine. What, he's 20, 21?
He's young.
Like,
he's a
going
young
on the
dude.
internet and looking at this kind of stuff.
He's a young dude. And this is the part about, and again, I don't know this, so I'm not saying this about Zion per se, but when you enter the NBA and this league and you want to be that dude, listen, man, your basketball skill, of course, and your skill development and your work there, that's part of it. But taking care of your body, that is the tool by which you earn all of this money. If that doesn't work, what are you doing, right? So that is the thing that you must be, we talk about it famously, how LeBron spends over $1 million on his body annually and all this stuff. I'm not saying Zion's got to do that, but what I am saying is that is the instrument by which you make it'll be like a singer, right? Doja Cat or whoever deciding, fuck my voice. I don't really care about that shit. I'm going to just smoke cigs and just wild out. And like, you're probably not going to do so well, right? Like if your instrument is not doing what it is supposed to do. So same thing with this, like, right? He's got to make sure that this body of his finely tuned and he's ready to roll.
No, I agree. I was thinking about that too. About how people say that about LeBron and stuff. And even I heard this about Russell Wilson too, that he spends a ton of money on his body. And I'm seeing it now. You know what I mean? Like through when we see these different cases or stories, I guess per se, it really puts it in perspective for you. So, wishing him the best mentally for sure. And of course, physically, let's get this game on the road and his health back to par here. So let's talk about the NBA trade deadline that's looming in February here, because there's a bunch of teams already, rumored trades happening. The Ben Simmons saga is still going on in Philadelphia. Damian Lillard is still the talk of the town, although the Pelicans, here we are, Portland is shutting him down for trade talks with Philly. I guess they're sick of that. But hey, it's good to be in the news for something, right? Sorry. And we got a couple things going on there. A lot of injuries, a lot of pieces not working in places. Let's break down some teams here. And I'm looking at the show run and I'm seeing like some good teams, but then I'm just seeing a couple dumpsters here. So talk to me about some moves that we can possibly make here.
So the first thing to remember is, right, so when everybody listens to this podcast starting tomorrow, when you guys listen to it, it'll be Wednesday, December 15th. That is the day officially that any player that signed a deal in this past offseason will now be eligible to be traded, right? So as of right now, today, the day before, only about 60% of the league is eligible to be traded. Starting tomorrow, over 80% of the league will be eligible to be traded, right? That means you can now add more teams, more players, and figure out how we move certain guys around. Look, you look at a team like Boston, for instance, right? Like they're 500 right now. First-year coach Ime Udoka, they're struggling a little bit. Remember what happened with Marcus Smart early, saying that Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown need to pass the ball and stop ball hogging, whatever, right? Brown's been battling COVID. Is this something where they potentially see an alpha battle coming between Brown and Tatum, and they decide, you know what can we move Jaylen Brown for? What can we get in return for him? Dennis Schroeder was an excellent pickup for them at only $5.9 million, and he's been playing well. Can they move him? What could they get? Is Marcus Smart someone that somebody would want, right? Because clearly there needs to be a shakeup there, because at 14-14 with guys like Tatum and Brown, and again, Brown has had COVID, I know that, they should be better than they are, and they're not. And so this could be something where new GM, Brad Stevens, decides to make his mark and make a move. So that's one team that could potentially be doing something.
I completely agree.
We talk about the Brooklyn Nets at the top of the show with their health and safety protocol issues, right? Ian Begley of SNY did report that Dallas is one of the teams that called and sniffed around asking about Kyrie Irving. Now, the thing about Kyrie Irving is that he's mercurial, of course, right? When he plays and when he's on his game, I mean, this is a scintillating supernova all NBA player, right? He is elite offensively and more than capable defensively, because we saw it last year. It was his first 50-40-90 season, made all NBA, and he was guarding, okay, before that injury took him down in the postseason. The question is, if you are a team that wants to acquire him, what is the guarantee that you're getting that person who's going to do that all season long and not check out on you before the playoffs or what have you? You have no guarantees. So who knows? We do also know that James Harden is someone that Daryl Morey still talks about wanting to acquire. James Harden is a free agent at the end of this season. I'm not saying they're going to trade James Harden. I'm just saying these are players that are available. They're showcasing Nick Claxton, and now with these health and safety protocols, all the guys that are locked in, Claxton can get a lot of playing time and get to show off what he can do. Is that someone that the Nets move? Because again, if the Nets are going to get another piece from a team that is not a fellow contender like they are, they're going to want a young guy from somewhere else that's already established, and that team's going to want younger assets. Well, that's Nick Claxton, that's Cam Thomas, that's Day'Ron Sharpe, right? That's those are those guys. So we shall see.
Dang. Let's talk a little bit about Cleveland, because dare I say, is Cleveland good?
Cleveland's better than good, Jenna. They are the number 2 defense in the NBA, and that's no bullshit. Like they're for real. Like Evan
So what do they
Mobley,
need,
Jared
though?
Allen. Well, so that's the thing. I don't know if Cleveland thought they would be as good as they are right now. I think they thought, okay, we got some good young guys. We'll see. They're really good. Now, they did lose Colin Sexton for the year, but that's actually made them fine because there's no issue in the backcourt with Garland and Sexton anymore. If you are Cleveland, though, you know what Daryl Morey's thing is, right? If you have a 5% chance of winning the NBA title, you got to go all in and try to get it. And we know when these teams try to play that game of, all right, let's try to build now for the future. And also, it's too hard to do both things at once. If you think you're good enough now, you got to go all in. Now, I'm not saying the Cavaliers can win a title. What I am saying, though, is that this team looks like they can be a solid playoff team and potentially win a first-round series. Now, do they have enough to do that? That's the question. What can they move to pick up a wing scorer, right? And you look at guys like Isaac Okoro. I mean, Lauri Markkanen's good, but, you need something a little bit better than that, maybe. And as a team willing to part with one of their big guys to take a Lauri Markkanen. They like Allen and Mobley. They're probably not trading either of those two, right? Because that's the foundation of that super long, athletic. Think about it. That's a team that can switch out with 2 7-footers on the floor and can switch 1 through 5. That's great, right? What do? Do they move Colin Sexton, right, to another team that's looking for, all right, we're rebuilding, we're going to the lottery anyway, even though he's out for the year, what do we get back? So Cleveland is a team that's very interesting in that regard because, again, they're not a contender. Right? They're not winning the championship. But, Jenna, to me, they're a solid playoff team. They're 17-12. As I said, number 2 defense in the NBA according to adjusted defensive rating, and they're number 4 in adjusted net rating. We are past the quarter-way mark. And what did I say? Quarter-way mark gives you a pretty good sign of who you are as a team. Barring any major injuries, these numbers are likely to stay about the same for Cleveland. And by the way, they've had among the toughest schedules in the entire NBA thus far. So if they're able to do all that and be 5 games above 500, look, you got to love what you're seeing out of Cleveland.
Really? And again, with Colin Sexton out, and you think that would take a hit for them, but no. And things are really working out there. I remember in the beginning of the season, I was talking so much shit. I'll admit it. Sorry, Cleveland. I'll admit it. But yeah, I mean, good for them. I really thought like this rebuild was in like fast track mode this season. So, I mean, hey, talk about
JB Bickerstaff, right? JB Bickerstaff's doing a great job coaching. Kevin Love seems like he's bought back in, right? The big thing was, are we moving Kevin Love? What's happening? He seems like he's bought back in. They're playing well, man. As I said, I think this team could be a problem in the first round for somebody. Let's put it like this. You're one of them top 3 seeds, and let's say, or it's a 4 or 5 matchup, and you're the 4 and Cleveland's the 5. You're not loving the fact that you don't want to face them in round 1. It's not great. You don't love it.
Heck no. Well, we shall see. That's going to be interesting there. And All-Star is in
Cleveland this year.
So, all right. Maybe it'll be a little more appealing if they're winning. You never know. Let's move on to Philadelphia because interesting new reports out of there. We're not hearing from Ben Simmons, but Shams Charania of The Athletic said that a couple teams are sniffing around Philadelphia for the all-star point guard, including the Knicks, the Lakers, the Timberwolves, the Trailblazers, the Kings, the Pacers, and the Cavaliers. So, I mean, again, pump the brakes. It's just inquiries, just some phone calls. However, very interesting because at the same time, not to bring in, a double whammy for you here, but we're also hearing that rumblings of the fit with Russell Westbrook not being so nice and
Great.
comfortable and cushy in Los Angeles. So I don't know. Do you see a Russell Westbrook, Ben Simmons experiment switch?
No, because
Okay.
Daryl Morey does not like Russell Westbrook in that way. We tried that, right? They tried that in Houston. That didn't work out well. So no. Daryl has his right. He had his list of 20, 30 people who he said I would trade Ben Simmons for. Look, we know he's waiting for either Dame or James Harden, right? Those are the people that he wants. Those sort of elite kind of players. They may not be available, so he may have to bring his request level down a bit, right? And then who or what might that be? What would it look like? Because Philly's playing well. Maxi's doing well. Seth Curry's playing well. They have a nice roster over there. So maybe it's you don't get back another all-NBA guy, but you get back maybe a couple all-stars, some more shooting, and maybe you just surround Joel Embiid with nothing but space and shooters and defense, and you let him cook that way. Guess what? That's a tough team to beat come the postseason, right? Like, and that's the thing about Ben Simmons. I don't know if you're getting equal value back in return. And I know he's taking a hit because he doesn't shoot and all that, but this is someone who is elite at everything in basketball except shooting. Every skill that you need to have in basketball, he's elite at except shooting. So,
thing is,
he's someone you want.
Easier said than done, but like you said, it's everything but shooting. It's not like multiple things like, where can we stick him? But he can't do this, but he can't do that. I know shooting is a huge thing in basketball, but, find a place and surround him. Yeah, he can do everything else. Literally. Yes. He can't knock down threes.
Handle,
all right,
defend. Fine. He can get to the rim. He can pass and play make. All that.
Exactly. So, I don't know. I find it very hard. I guess, the Sixers have a high asking price. So on their end, I see the struggles, but I don't see it hard for him to kind of mesh in with the team. There's got to be something. He hasn't said anything. He can't be as evil as everybody's making him out to be.
No, I just think he wants to be out of that situation. And if you're Philly, right? Sacramento's the team that keeps getting brought up. Are Tyrese Halliburton, Davion Mitchell, and De'Aaron, is that enough for you to part ways with Ben Simmons? I don't know. Again, Daryl may have to come down off his asking price. Dame keeps saying I want to be part of the solution in Portland. That's just smoke. Yeah. He just doesn't want to be seen as the bad guy. He know. And now with CJ out with a collapsed lung, like, come on. There's no unless somehow there's some 3 or 4-way team deal, which again, now that the December 15th deadline will be here and the rest of the league is now open, is there something where you potentially have a Dame Ben Simmons situation paired up in Portland? Okay, but what's the value going back to Daryl Morey, right? Because he's not just going to give that up for a bag of nickels, right? Exactly. What's he getting back that's going to make him be like, all right, I'll roll with this. We'll see.
I would love to see the two of them in Portland. Interesting too. The Trailblazers shut down Damian Lillard for trade talks because of this whole Philadelphia situation for the most part. So yeah, he doesn't want to be the bad guy. I think you're totally right on that situation. Yeah, we shall see. We shall see. Talk to me a little bit about what we can do in Portland, though. We don't know what's going on with CJ. So, they obviously need more pieces. They were quiet in free agency. What's the deal here?
Collapsed lung, so who knows when he's going to play again. That sounds just awful. Look, the Trailblazers aren't good right now, right? And with Dame not playing, we know that they have to find a new GM. I told you last week that Jody Allen may have to may want to sell the team. So who the hell knows, right? What's going to happen here? I think if you're Portland, it's time for them to be like, this is not happening for us. We are no longer a team that is, on the cusp, or we're one piece away from this or that. You're none of those things, right? Like it's time for a full on rebuild in Portland, and that's a team that will be interesting for other GMs to go after and figure out who could they get, right? Like Norm Powell, that's someone that could help a team that's looking for shooting off the bench, right? Do they want to go young and keep Anthony Simons? But what about Harry Giles? There's so many different pieces. Nurk, does he fit somewhere, right? I don't know. Rocco. I mean, there's a lot of different players that could be valuable on teams that are contending or trying to make deeper runs in the playoffs. So yeah, I think Portland is a team that can be active come the trade deadline. I also think that Oklahoma City, we know that they have a gazillion picks and draft swaps and this and that and the third. I'm not saying they're going to, but is Shai Gilgeous-Alexander someone they want to keep? Or do they say, you know what? Let's move him and get someone else back? Or I don't know. And Oklahoma City is always going to be an interesting trade partner because, again, they have so many assets in terms of draft picks and draft swaps. And they're clearly not trying to win, right? Like they are like, no, we are in this for the tankathon. Yeah. Paolo Banchero, Chet Holmgren, come all down. That's what we're trying to do.
Oh my God. You never fail to crack me up at least like multiple times during an episode. But you have a lot of good points, a lot of trade assets in OKC. And I'm not going to sit here and say everybody that passes through OKC enjoys their time. However, there was a time when they had 3 future MVPs. They had Chris Paul developing
SGA.
Shai Gilgeous. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So, and he's another good trade piece too because of that development under Chris Paul. Remember that season that he thrived under him?
They were great.
And we spoke at the time too that a lot of players go to OKC when they're, on that little revival, that career development spot. Again, I'm sure nobody in OKC wants to hear that. But again, trade assets, they have a lot of value. Play it the right way.
And they're not trying to win right now. So if you're SGA, why do I want to be in that market? Again, not that SGA is some grizzled old veteran, but it's like, look, no. I want to win games. And OKC is not in that position right now.
No, not at all. But you know who might have some pieces for them or anybody else? The Pacers, if this... we fast track this.
They're
Miles
rebuilding.
Turner is already in the media saying that
Miles
he wants
Turner,
out, basically.
Domantas Sabonis, Karis LeVert, those guys are all going to be available because Indiana has to figure out what are we? Are we a Miles Turner based defensive team or are we a Domantas Sabonis based team? Right? Mm-hmm. Because right now they see they can't do both. Miles Turner, again, for teams that are in the postseason that want a big stretch 5 who can protect the rim and space the floor and shoot threes. Miles Turner's perfect, right? What do you get back in return? Everyone's saying he'd be a great fit in Golden State. Now, he'd be a great fit. The thing about Turner is, right, he's saying he wants a bigger role in the offense. Look, man, you go to Golden State, you ain't getting no big role in the offense. They're going to be like, hey, man, protect the rim, knock down this open 3. That's it. We ain't running no sets for you. You're not getting no touches. Like, that's not what we're doing, right? But
sit down.
That could be his best chance to win big time, right? And if you're Golden State, what do you give up to get that? Because they're going to want Kuminga, Moody, right? Wiseman, your young pieces. But I think Golden State, where they are right now, I doubt they're active come trade deadline because right now they're at an 80% winning clip. They're among the best records in the NBA. Joe Lacob believes this team can win now as currently constructed when they get Klay Thompson back. And they could also keep their young guys and win into the future. So if you're a Golden State, why move anybody? We're good how we are. So we'll see.
I agree. I don't think they need to do much there. I mean, they're already the best in the West, and they don't have Klay Thompson and a couple other key assets there. And then you have guys like Steph Curry and Draymond Green playing a lot of minutes. And, they got some miles on them, so they look good right now. I think they can push this. I mean, that championship experience that they have,
there's no metric on that. You can't put in a series that gets tied 2-2, Draymond, Steph, and Klay ain't gonna be worried about nothing, right? Because of that collective spirit they have of we've been here a million times. We know what to do. People on the other side of the floor may not have that.
Very, very true. And that's a huge advantage. So we shall see. Again, we'll circle back and give you guys all the scoop on these teams. Let's talk about Sacramento a little bit because
Mm.
looks like they made Buddy Hield available. And,
Mhm.
don't sleep on him. I mean, 40% career three-point
Yeah,
shooting. I
yeah.
mean, he could be a really good asset somewhere. Again, just don't sleep. And I
I
say that
mean,
because interesting to see where he would go. I feel like he's got a lot to prove and
uh,
show.
not a 40% career 3-point shooter is going to have value all across this league. And we already
Right.
talked about Sacramento and w- where are they and what are they? They are right now a half game outside of the play-in. I know that Vivek Ranadive, the owner, and McNair, the GM, they're going to want to make the postseason or the play-in tournament. Okay, cool. I don't know that in your current construction, you're going to do much, right? What's the trade they can pull off? Is it the Ben Simmons deal? Do they move Hield for someone else who can help, right? And can Buddy Hield, if he goes to a different organization, because look, we talk about the Kings all the time. They're a dumpster fire, right? Hield in a winning organization or an organization with a different kind of culture. Maybe a lot of his bad habits of gunning and all that stuff goes away. He's able to fit his role and do what he's got to do. I don't know. Time will tell, but watch the Kings. I expect them to be players during trade season.
The Kings. Once a dumpster fire, hopefully they can dig themselves out of that because and De'Aaron Fox too. I
Well, that's the other
mean, what's
one,
going
right?
on there?
I mean, first of all, how good is De'Aaron Fox, right? The Kings are like, he's an untouchable. Like, is he that good,
He
right?
was
And it's
once my
funny.
rookie of the year pick.
Well, you were wrong on that one, right? And that's the thing about De'Aaron Fox, right? The way that De'Aaron Fox thinks of himself, or the way that the Kings fans would hope that he is who Ja Morant already is right now, right? Like, and he ain't that. De'Aaron Fox is not Ja Morant, right? So, how much better can De'Aaron Fox be? I don't know. Do we see it in Sacramento? I don't know.
We saw some flashes, but again, like I'm a firm believer in this that your environment, I get these players that can lock in and do XYZ.
Yeah,
And
they're
yeah,
they're,
those
they're
are
one
the
in a
special
million.
players.
Yeah, for sure.
But
Everybody else is
I
about environment.
firmly believe it's about environment. It really is. It's about the coaching staff around you. Not to switch gears or leagues, but Aaron Rodgers randomly said something today, and I don't go by anything that Aaron Rodgers said, but he spoke about, let's just clarify that one right there. But he did speak about taking players when they're young and surrounding them with good staff and smart staff
That's
and
important.
yeah. So to that point, it's just your environment is very crucial.
That is
And
key to player development, right?
yeah,
Yes.
and
Your
you always
LeBron
preach that.
James, Kevin Durant, those people are going to be who they are no matter where they are. But
Right.
everybody else, right? It's about who develops me, right? And where do I go and how do I get the training I need to be the best version of myself? And look, a lot of these organizations are just bad at that. They're bad.
Well, Jarod, honey, we've talked about this. All these people in these front offices making these wild decisions.
Crazy.
Come on now. All up in here. All right. Speaking of what's wrong with these goddamn people, America's favorite segment. What's up with? Yes, guys, I'm going to stop explaining the rules every week because, as you know, it's getting really annoying. But it's really just what's up with anything around the league. We go back and forth and we just riff about some shit because you got to do it. Somebody's got to call people out on their shit. And Jarod, you take the floor, honey.
Jenna, this is the second week in a row I'm being positive with what's up with. And we talked about this team already. What's up with the Cleveland Cavaliers? It's everything I said at the top of the show. This team is excellent. Remember at the beginning of the season, I said, I'm very curious to see what an Evan Mobley, Jared Allen lineup looks like. I think you can play them together. Ooh, was I right? You sure can play them together. They're dynamic. And again, Evan Mobley is already a net positive as a rookie. That is very hard. Rookies very rarely contribute to winning because this game is difficult. He is a net positive when it comes to wins. Plus 2.9, I want to say, an estimated plus minus. That means per 100 possessions, his team is better at 2 points, almost 3 points per 100 possessions when he's on the floor. That's how good he is as a rookie. And you combine that with Jared Allen. Again, we talk about threes and all this stuff. Jenna, for me, if I'm constructing my ideal basketball team, it would be a team full of essentially, how could I clone Kevin Durant 5 times, right? Because I want 5 people who are 7 feet tall, who can pass, dribble, shoot, defend, all that. Yes, super producer Dexter, of course I would. Of course I would want that. But again, in a game where the rim is 10 feet above the ground, you being tall still matters. And being tall and skilled, that's huge. And that's what you have with Mobley and Allen, right? Teams get small, they don't have to freak out and pull those guys off the floor because they're worried about them getting switched on a small guy. They can switch, cool, no problems. And they're super tall, and you got all that length that's protecting the rim. I love it. So Cleveland, and again, shout out to JV Bickerstaff. We talk about players improving. Coaches are allowed to improve too and get better. And they're running really good stuff in Cleveland. They're a fun team to watch. So shout out to Cleveland Cavaliers.
I can't believe we're like talking like this. It's beautiful. They deserve it. Good for you, boys. Good for you. Gotta love it out here in these streets. All right. I am going with a surprise team for me anyway. But they're on your list, of course. I'm talking about the Grizzlies because of a dominant win over the Sixers, and they're staying hot. And this is with guys that are helping lead this team. Like, do you guys know a little guy named Kyle Anderson and Dylan Brooks? Yeah, when's the last time you said that, huh? When's the last time you talked about them? So I'm just saying, like, these Grizzlies are hot. How long can it last? And again, beating teams like the Sixers, we're talking about teams that are, at the top of the East here. And
Sixers, they beat the Lakers the other night. No, they're playing well.
Well, that's what I'm saying. That's why I had to choose them, because they upset me the other night, made me cry a little bit with my Lakers out here.
I mean, I did text you and said, you see my Grizzlies spanking your Lakers right now?
Yeah, it's another reason why I chose it, Jarod. I wasn't going to bring it up. I was going to wait for you to do that because I knew you would, and you did. So here we are. I love it because remember, I feel like lately we're getting a lot of comments that we're very, very good banter, and we have very good banter. And it's just years of genuine bickering. That's all it is. It's genuine. It comes right from the heart.
This is true bickering we're having. No, look, I love the Grizzlies. Triple J playing well. They're also guarding, Jenna. When they started the season, they were playing poor defense, like piss poor.
The steals are up, everything. They're guarding all right. The defense is there. And I mean, matching up against top stars like this, I mean, again, what was it? I think Embiid went out during the game. I could be wrong.
During this win streak, they've held teams to under 100 points, to a 95.8 defensive efficiency per 100 possessions. That's elite defense. So look, we know they can get up and down and score and do different things. If they can guard a little bit, I said at the beginning of the season, what did I say? This team will be a play-off team, not a play-in team. Play-off. They're sitting fourth right now. So I'm liking what I'm seeing by the Grizzlies.
You did. Me too. But yeah, had to choose your guys. Give Triple J some love, a frequent friend of the podcast. Just saying, shameless plug, go back in the archives. Top five. Let's move on, Jarod. Our top 5 teams. Is this going to be a thing for us?
Yeah, we're doing top 5 every week. All right, we'll go back and forth. I'll go, then you go, and you go. Okay. Number 5, Brooklyn Nets. Look, with all the craziness they have going on, they're still 19-8, right? They're still 6th in the league in adjusted net rating. Like, they got the number 10 defense, I want to say, in the NBA. Number 7, in adjusted defensive rating. Like, look, and they got, of course, the easy money sniper. So any team, you got to still give them their props. So Brooklyn Nets, number 5. Who's your 5?
Ooh, and remind me, we're not doing East and West. We're just doing everyone, right?
It's everyone. It's everyone. Yeah.
Okay, all just together. Making sure, because that would have really messed me up in here. Oh man, this one's really hard, but I'm going to say my top 5. You know what? I did have one, but I'm going to do a late swap because this is live, people. This is live up in here. I'm going to go straight up with the 76ers.
Ooh, look at you.
I say that because, I'm liking the Sixers right now. They're one spot above that plane, which makes me nervous. But again, early a little bit here. They're keeping up with, the red hot Wizards that are still hot and up here. But again, a lot of teams creeping in the East. It's such a pull. It's not even funny, but I'm going to go with the 76ers just because I really do give them a lot of props, even still with this loss in Ben Simmons. It is a huge loss. As much as people hate the kid, it's a huge, huge, huge loss. And a lot to ask Tyrese Maxey to come and, take that kind of place along with,
he's doing well,
of course, Steph Curry, Tobias Harris. Well. But yeah, I mean, good for them for switching this up and really dealing with this and kind of closing the door on that mess early. So it seems. Remember when that was bad on media day? Oh my God.
It was. All right, number 4 for me, Cleveland Cavaliers. We talked about them already. They're excellent. I love Cleveland. So Cleveland's my number 4 team.
Yep, same. I actually have them as 4 on my list too. We're so compatible,
and the top 3, I imagine, is going to be the same for us. Number 3, I got the Utah Jazz, 19-7. They have the number 2 adjusted net rating in the league, and they're number 1 in adjusted offensive rating. Everybody likes to clown Rudy Gobert and all that, but they are what they are, man. They're good. They're a good squad.
Oh, I thought you were saying what you thought. Okay. My number 3 is the Clippers. Again, I'm a sucker for a team that is doubted. Still without Kawhi, obviously, that ACL. And Paul George is keeping them afloat too. And I love the coaching under Ty Lue. I think they're showing out. I mean, they're in that number 5 spot in the West. And of course, you got the 3 juggernauts at the top. So really, it's them and the Grizzlies. So again, keeping afloat in the West there, and I like what I see out of them.
All right, number 2 for me, Phoenix Suns, 21-5. I mean, the point guard. They're doing all this again with Devin Booker still out with the hamstring. Ayton's been in and out of the lineup, but they're still managing to win games and do what they got to do, maintaining and staying close to the Warriors. So Phoenix Suns 2.
2-2. My second is obviously the Warriors, and it's annoying. It's really annoying. I mean, it's obvious. I mean, what else do you want me to say?
The Warriors are great. The Warriors are great.
Do we go into a time machine? Like, once Clay gets back, it's really going to mess me up, man.
Well, that's the thing, right? Clay comes back. Clay comes back. What are they, right? Are they like, and he's 80% of himself. Is it like we're back to 2016 again? Who knows? And of course, my number 1 team is the Warriors, right? I mean, I just said it, that all things we need to say about them. They're excellent. Steph Curry is playing like an MVP. He's going to have the all-time 3-point record in a matter of seconds if he doesn't have it already right now. And our super producer Dex just dropped this in the chat. Giannis Antetokounmpo with the Milwaukee Bucks is in the health and safety protocols. Look, man, this is all bad right now. All bad. Jenna, you're number 1 before we get to the Bucks on an important news item.
Oh my goodness. My number 1 is the Nets. I mean, obviously, for obvious reasons.
Brooklyn Nets. You still like those Brooklyn Nets, huh?
Fan
of that easy money sniper guy. He's pretty good at basketball. He's pretty good.
It's so annoying. It's so annoying. I mean, it's just
it's
so
not.
predictable.
But if you're a KD fan, it's not annoying. It's great, actually. it's wonderful.
It's true. Can't even hate. I mean, listen, really quick before we do move on to this very important news, because I have to say, because Kevin Durant was on Twitter this week, and it was so good. I don't know the context of the tweet, but there was some reporter that tried to be funny and joke about him, whatever. And he sent a GIF of it was some popular cartoon character that we all know. Everybody's gonna laugh at me once we see it. It's probably SpongeBob, and I can't even think of it. And it was the paper said, "Take this L," and he just gave it to her because he obviously probably dropped 50, So he just continues to keep trolling people. He also liked to tweet too that Warriors fans were so annoying because they can't let go of the situation.
It's over.
It is. It's over.
Drama.
It's over.
Fans are so hilarious.
Exactly. Let's move on to this last piece of news here because it's super important. As our producer Dexter just told us here of the Ain't Hard to Tell podcast, check it out, guys. Giannis Antetokounmpo has entered health and safety protocols according to Woj. This is also another hit to the Bucks because Chris Middleton suffered that hyperextended left knee late in the third quarter of Milwaukee's loss to the Celtics. Yikes. At TD Garden, not nice to lose there ever, and especially with the state of that team. But let's talk about Chris Middleton here, since this Giannis news just came in. We don't have a lot of details, of course, about that. So, yeah. Chris Middleton.
Hopefully the Middleton injury is not too serious for the Bucks, because they're starting to get on a little bit of a roll here. Hyperextension. And look, again, Chris Middleton played a lot of basketball over the last 2 seasons. A lot, right? And, you know, hopefully this is nothing for him. And now with Giannis and health and safety protocols, with both of them being out for at least a game, who knows what that's going to mean for the Bucks, right? It's going to be really tough for them. And we're going to start to see different things happen now during the season with COVID, with injuries. Teams that can find a way to bank some wins and gain some separation, like the Warriors and Suns right now. They have some nice separation at the top of the Western Conference, right? Yeah. And they haven't had any real injuries to speak of. I mean, I did mention Booker with the hammy. And you know, I did. Steph Curry already set the 3-point record. Congrats, Curry. We knew that was happening. We'll go back and we'll watch that replay a little bit later. But yeah, and the Warriors have been lucky, right? They're getting Clay back from injury. They haven't suffered anything major. So if you can, and they haven't had to deal with COVID issues. If you can bank some wins and get some separation between now and the All-Star break, I think that's going to be huge for a lot of teams.
Huge is right. Yeah, I just got that Curry notification. Oh, wow. The Garden must be rocking right now. But yeah, guys, a lot of news is going to be pouring in. We got the Christmas Day games coming up for you guys.
Yeah, so next week, Jenna, we'll do that. Next week will be our final episode of the season, or excuse me, of the calendar year, pardon me, of 2021. And we will do our annual Christmas Day game prediction show. I think I'm like undefeated every year. I've beaten you in the Christmas Day predictions, so we'll continue. I don't even know if that's true.
In my world, I'm undefeated. It's so weird.
But that's what we'll do next week. And as always, folks, you know where to find us. We are part of the Props Network. Make sure you guys get on the Props Network. You can catch up with the NBA Exchange by Dexter Henry, who's producing for us today, who's also the co-host of the Ain't Hard to Tell podcast, which is also on the Props Network. Of course, we are on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, SoundCloud, YouTube, all that. At 7footerspod on Twitter, at 7footerspodcast on Instagram, of course, at JS Hector, at Jen Lemoncelli. And until next week, peace.
Spent a couple years out here with these raps, trying to have a plan that we made come true. Applied to some jobs, but I ain't hit back. I don't want to trap with some